Django, you're recognized.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Um, uh, Mr. Chairman, I joined the explanatory messages and the manifestations of all our colleagues who have previously spoken regarding their bill. No, I filed this bill after observing the ICI and after being invited there twice. No, so doon sa pag-imbita po sa akin, nakita ko po yung mga kailangan lang po there. At meron din ako nakitang mga kailangan idagdag doon sa panood ko ng unang hearing nila doon sa Senado. At yan po yung dinagdag natin. No? Unang-una dito, yung tatlong miyembro, instead na tatlo, pinadagdagan po natin ng dalawa pa, yung representative ng academe at representative ng NGO. What I forgot to indicate in my bill, which I hope the chairman and our colleagues will consider, is yung three present members, the chairman, who is former Associate Justice of the Supreme Court, Andres Reyes, former DPWH Secretary Babe Singson, and country managing partner of SGB, Ma'am Rosana Fajardo. We have a holdover capacity, no? Kasi nasimulan na nila yung investigasyon. So sana naman, pag gumawa tayo ng bill, hindi ko ito nasama dito, na silang tatlo ay may holdover capacity. At dadagdag na lang dito is yung representative ng academe at saka representative ng NGO. No? Nakita rin natin na minsan, tulad na nabanggit ng ating mga kasamahan, binabaliwala po yung sabpina ng ICI. Kaya minumukahi po natin na bigyan sila ng power of direct or indirect contempt. No? Nakita rin natin na yung ibang mga gusto nilang imbestigahan ay lumisan at umalis sa ating bansa. So binigyan natin sila, minumukahi natin na bigyan sila ng kapangyarihan na mag-file ng hold departure order. No? At syempre, nakita rin natin na yung iba ay inilalabas yung kanilang mga assets. So binibigyan natin sila ng kapangyarihan to sequester and to attach monies and properties. No? At ito po, liliwanagin ko po, ito po ay hindi duplication ng trabaho ng ombudsman o DOJ, kung hindi, tulong sa kanilang kapangyarihan. Noong pong hearing ng Senate, nakita ko rin po na humihiling sila ng exemption from criminal and civil liability. So ito po ay idinagdag natin sa minumungkahi po nating batas. No? So yun na po, Mr. Chairman. So sana po itong mga batas na ito ay mapasa sa lalong madaling panahon dahil tulad po ng sinasabi po ng ating mga kasamahan dito, medyo naiinip na po yung ating mga kababayan at kahit po magsumikap yung ICI, sila po ay nahahadlangan doon sa kakulangan ng kanilang powers. So pag binigyan po natin sila ng mas maraming powers, inaasahan po natin na mas mapapabilis yung kanilang investigasyon. Yun lang po, Mr. Chairman, colleagues, maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Congressman Toby Chanco, author of House Bill number 5699, for your insight and initiative in establishing the Independent Commission Against Infrastructure Corruption. Now let us hear the insights and comments from our esteemed resource persons. May I call Executive Director of ICI, Attorney Brian Osaka.
Good afternoon, Chair.
Afternoon.
With your permission. The Independent Commission for Infrastructure, or ICI, extends its sincere gratitude to the Chairperson of the Committee on Government Reorganization, Honorable Salvador Plato, and to the members of the committee. We are grateful for the opportunity to share our insights and perspectives on House Bills 4453 and 5699. At only 57 days old, the Commission is still a young institution, wherein it started from scratch. One that is faced with the daunting task of validating close to 238,000 infrastructure projects. In a time of deep public distrust, much is expected from a commission tasked with investigating projects which have drained billions in public funds and exposed systemic weakness in our government. We believe that given the gravity of this undertaking, the proposed investigative body tasked to examine these projects must be vested with expanded powers, so it can bring those responsible for the anomalous flood control projects to justice with swiftness and certainty that the Filipino people rightfully demand. The Commission therefore supports the intent of both House bills to strengthen the proposed body, particularly through provisions granting the power to cite persons in contempt, issue whole departure orders, recover and sequester assets, prohibit restraining orders, and exempt the proposed Commission and its members from liability in the performance of their duties. The Commission also takes this opportunity to recommend additional powers that could further enhance the effectiveness and efficiency of the proposed Commission. These additional powers are discussed in the position paper submitted by the ICI to the Honorable Committee. Our shared goal is clear: to ensure that the proposed Commission is fully empowered to deliver its mandate and ultimately to recover what was taken from the Filipino people. Maraming salamat po.
Mr. Chair, just a query, please. How many of the relevant agencies have in fact submitted their respective position papers? Because as of, I think, 2 hours ago, only 2 were provided us. These are GILG and AMLAC. So I was actually looking forward to the position paper from ICI, especially from ICI, and also from DOJ, because I have certain legal questions that wish to clarify from both agencies. So I really want to see already the position papers of both agencies. Especially, I'm curious about the mention of additional powers being recommended, and where we appreciate the fact that generally the ICI supports both bills, and insofar as certain powers are being granted to this independent commission. But I'm curious about the additional powers that they wish to propose, because yan po ang pinaka-importante. Ano pa ho ba yung kulang sa dalawang bills na pwede nating i-consider para mas lalong maging malakas, effective at independent itong ating ICAIC. Maraming salamat po. So do we have the list of those?
Honorable Chair, Honorable
Salamat
Dilima,
po.
we just received 4 from DILG and AMLA, and from ICI they just received today, and COA. And we just received today.
Wala pa pong DOJ.
Wala pa po, ma'am. Wala pa po.
Mr. Chair,
Wish ba ni-receive?
may we just request the representative of the ICI, Attorney Brian Osaka, to discuss their recommendations regarding the additional powers that they would want to be included in the proposed bill.
Attorney Osaka, please.
With the permission of the Chair, may I go over the submission
Okay.
of the ICI? With regard to, first, on the composition of the commission, proposed commission, we just added, with regard to the chairperson, that it should not be just limited to retired justice of the Supreme Court or the Sandigan Bayan, but at the same time, we also would recommend retired justices from the Court of Appeals and Court of Tax Appeals, considering that these retired justices would have sufficient experience and knowledge with regard to court proceedings. We also added in paragraph number 2, with regard to the licensed civil engineer, we added architect, just so as to expand the choice for the commission. As far as number 4 is concerned, we also added that from the academe, an extensive background should also, a an individual who has extensive background in law can be considered, considering that based on our experience, it is very valuable that a member of the commission, or at least most of them, would have a background in law. Now, number 5, a representative from the reputable NGO. We just added that which has the primary purpose and or expertise on disaster risk and management. Right. We would just like to highlight the need for preliminary measures on asset preservation, wherein we stated in our recommendation that the Commission observes that House Bill number 5699 provides the ICAIC with the power of recovering and sequestering assets accumulated by persons involved in the flood control. We believe that this authority in power is very, very important. Now, lastly, exemption from liability. The Commission observes that House Bill number 5699 provides for an exemption clause, and this is indeed very important too, considering that in fact we parrot, and we also would recommend Section 5, wherein it says that exemption from criminal and civil liability, that no criminal and civil action shall lie against the Commission or any member thereof for anything done or omitted in the discharge of the task contemplated to this Act. We also would like to add a prohibition against restraining orders and injunctions, similar to Section 4 of RA number 8975. Wherein it should state that no court except the Supreme Court shall issue any temporary restraining order, preliminary injunction, or preliminary mandatory injunction against the Commission, its members, and the Secretariat with respect to any matter or act with the Commission's mandate, including the conduct of any hearing or proceedings, the pursuit of investigation, and the filing and handling of criminal administrative cases. We also just had had to, in a way, recommend a slight modification on the access to information. We also believe that this is one of the things that would make the task more efficient and will be able to deliver the mandate faster. No? So we would like to add that the ICAIC shall have complete access to information from government agencies, local government units, and government-owned and controlled corporations, such as, but not limited to, the Anti-Money Laundering Council, Bureau of Internal Revenue, Bureau of Customs, Securities and Exchange Commission, Land Registration Authority, and the Land Transportation Office in the pursuit of its mandate. The Commission would also like to add the power to issue closure or revocation. The Commission respectfully recommends that the ICAIC be granted the power to issue closure or revocation of registration of establishments which are found to be responsible for anomalous infrastructure projects. The Commission would also like to humbly suggest that one of the powers of the ICAIC include the power to directly recommend the Philippine Regulatory Commission the automatic cancellation of professional licenses of professionals found to be responsible in the implementation of the anomalous flood control projects or other infrastructural projects. Now, as far as the transitory clause is concerned, we would like to ask the committee that to please include this. No? That the Commission highly recommends that the adoption of a transitory clause which would transition the current ICI into the establishment of the new ICAIC. This clause would ensure the continuity of the investigatory work of the Commission and provide security of tenure to its existing employees who will be absorbed by the newly created ICAIC. This is similar to Section 35 of RA number 11966, which is an act providing for the Public-Private Partnership Code of the Philippines. Basically, Your Honors, this is the recommendation or the position of the ICI. Thank you.
Mr.
Thank you,
Chair,
Director.
may I be allowed to ask clarificatory questions on the points presented
Okay,
by
ma'am.
the Executive Director? Pwede po ba at this point?
We have just received this,
Yes
the
po,
comment,
I was actually
but we will be
referring to
furnishing
that.
you through email.
Yes. Can I ask
thank you.
clarificatory questions po
Yeah.
dun sa kanyang
Okay,
mga
ma'am.
nasabi?
Really
Because
recommend.
I cursorily went over already the position paper or the comments of the ICI. And these are very good comments and very good additional recommendations, especially on the powers of the ICI. As to the composition, so ICI is in fact amenable to the 5 members composition as proposed by both bills. Meron lang kayong konting pinapadagdag. For example, yung sa chair nga po, hindi lang limited to retired justice of the Supreme Court or the Sandigan Bayan, kundi sa CTA din, saka sa Court of Appeals, and then yung sa civil engineer, architect, and then yung representative in the academe. So aside from extensive background in public finance, economics, you proposed law, extensive background in law, and yung reputable NGO primary purpose expertise in disaster risk and management. So, ito naman pong sa coverage scope and jurisdiction, and I think this is a good one. Kasi pareho po sa parehong bills natin ay investigatory nga po and would recommend the filing of both administrative and criminal cases. Although in the 5569, House Bill 5569, meron pa nga ho doon about directly instituting complaints. Now, it's good that ICI proposed this colatilia or this proviso, provided, however, that nothing in this law shall be construed as curtailing or diminishing the investigatory, prosecutorial, or disciplinary powers vested by the Constitution in the Office of the Ombudsman, the Commission on Audit, or the Civil Service Commission. Maganda talagang linawin po natin because these are constitutional bodies created by the Constitution. They have their respective mandates. I don't think Congress can just deprive them of their respective mandates. So mas magandang malinaw po ito na it is not being misconstrued that the grant of these powers to the ICAIC is construed or will be misconstrued as an abdication of the powers of these constitutional bodies. Now, of course, contempt, maganda po ito. I think acceptable ito sa lahat. And even do sa Senate bill, ito po talaga ang kulang ng ICI. Now, you mentioned about the whole departure order. And I'm particularly delighted of the fact that it seems that the ICI is open to that idea na pwede bigyan ng power to issue HDO itong ating proposed ICAIC in spite of the Supreme Court decision dun sa Genuino, the consolidated cases of Genuino versus De Lima and Arroyo versus De Lima. And I'm very much familiar, of course, with that ruling because I happen to be the respondent there. And yes, the ruling there is that unconstitutional yung Department Circular 41. By the way, that was not my circular. It was there already when I assumed office. Pero ginamit ko yon because it was an existing tool which enjoys the presumption of constitutionality. So this representation as then Secretary of Justice issued the watch list order against, in separate cases, in separate instances, against Genuino and also against the former president, Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. But it was declared unconstitutional because it infringes on their constitutional right to travel. Dahil nga malinaw naman talaga sa Constitution natin na pwede lang kapag national security, public health, and public safety. But upon rereading of that decision, and I think yan din ang alam po ng ICI, that's why I recommend nyo, na pwede talaga na na i-grant natin ng power to issue HDO ang ICAIC, pero dapat malinaw lang that it would fall within the purview of those constitutional limitations. Meaning, kailangan ma-justify na it falls within those three, meaning national security, public health, and public safety. Siguro po, we can very much argue that itong usapin ngayon dito sa massive corruption na ito ay merong national security aspect. Di ho ba? Kasi nga may epekto to eh. Look at all of this talks about destabilization, etc. Dahil galit na yung taong bayan. Merong mga namamantala, sasamantala dito sa usapin na ito that you know that would impact on the security of our country and particularly the established institutions. So maganda po ito na insofar as the ICI is concerned, and that's why curious din po ako sa magiging position ng DOJ. Would they agree also that pwede nating bigyan ng power to issue HDO? But I'm glad that the ICI is open to that idea of granting HDO powers to the ICAIC. And syempre, yung asset preservation, nandun po yun sa 5699, and it's good that it is being supported by ICI. Of course, the exemption from criminal and civil liability, the prohibition against restraining orders and injunctions, pareho po yan dun sa bills namin. Wala ho dapat ibang korte nang makapag-issue ng restraining order against the ICAIC except the Supreme Court. Kasi can you imagine the effect on the pending investigations if anyone can just secure TRO from any court? So maganda po ito na mga suggestion, yung mga comments nyo, and also your other suggestions, including the power to issue closure or revocation of registration of establishments which are found to be responsible for anomalous infrastructure projects. Pero meron naman siguro hong kailangan din siguro na there should be some kind of a summary proceedings before we can order closure. And then the transitory clause. You are recommending, the ICI is recommending that there should be injected a transitory clause which would transition the current ICI into the establishment of the new ICAIC para merong continuity. Hindi pwedeng masayang lang yung nagiging trabaho ngayon ng ICI. So the next question there is about the membership or the composition of the ICAIC. Kasi meron na ngang 3 members, current members of the ICI. Now, kung mag-hold over capacity sila, in transition sila, the 3 current members now, the distinguished members of the ICI, can Congress now consider absorbing them or retaining them as members of the new ICAIC kung maisabatas na po itong bills na ito? So that should be subject, of course, to discussion, and of course the power to appoint the members of the ICAIC would remain to be a presidential prerogative. So that's all,
Thank
Mr.
you,
Chair, for now.
Honorable
Maraming
De Lima.
salamat
Can
po.
we
Thank
ask
you.
a quick
ED Hosaka. Thank you.
quick answer from Attorney Osaka? But before we do that, we recognize Representative Shelo Crystal Lagman from 1st District of Albay. Thank you, ma'am, for coming. Attorney Osaka, please. A brief reply to what Honorable De Lima just said.
I think the Honorable Congresswoman De Lima is asking with regard to transitory clause, the transitory clause. I think that was a comment only. Am I supposed to address
Thank you.
Mr.
Anyway,
Chair, And just
Anyway,
also,
I suggest to our members to give time for our resource persons. Can we finish the four first
just one question
before we
to
continue with the discussion?
Mr. Chair, just one question to Attorney
Okay,
Osaka.
last.
Yes, under Section 2, under Section 3 of the proposed bill 4453, the commission shall exist for a period of 2 years. But according to Attorney Hosaka, they will be investigating 235,000 infrastructure projects, and sounds that he's thinking of a more permanent institution. So may you just comment on Section 3 of the proposed Bill 4453, which gives 2 years, only 2 years period for the commission.
Mr. Chair,
Brief,
uh,
brief lang,
i-
Attorney Saka.
in
then-
reply to Honorable Congressman Irisa, the 238,000 infrastructure projects was data information provided to the ICI by the DPWH 10 years back. So with regard to that, right now, depending on the number of personnel or staffing that will be provided for in the proposed committee, that will depend on that of course our efficiency and speed would be dependent on that. Nevertheless, it is quite obvious, Your Honors, that considering the magnitude of what we are facing, the 2-year period might not be sufficient.
So you will need more time.
Yes, it would depend. Of course, we will defer to the wisdom of the Congress, Your Honor, with respect to that, whether or not it will be time bound to 2 years or anyway, under Section 2, it also provides a possible extension provided for by, if it can be, it says that which shall exist for a period of 2 years unless extended by law. Then perhaps it can be revisited after 2 years if there is a need to extend the life of the commission. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.